Hi, everyone. Mayor Kennedy O'Brien with Conversations with Kennedy. And today, my guests are with the Army Corps of Engineers, and they are going to be working in Sayreville for maybe the next year or so. For those of you that are too young or too new to Sayreville, at the end of World War One, we made munitions in the Sayreville area. That's what really founded our town. The DuPont and Hercules factories made the gunpowder, and there were other companies around here that put it in the shells, and it was that company that blew up, and it scattered artillery shells all over Sayreville. And since that accident happened well over 100 years ago, the government has come in here with the Army Corps and they look for it. So, that being said, gentlemen, if you'd introduce yourselves.
I'm Todd Beckwith. I'm with the Baltimore District, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and I'm the technical manager for this project.
And I'm Chris Kane, project manager for New England District.
Well, welcome to Sayreville. So I have a list of questions. So let's begin with the questions. Number one is tell us about the history of the former Morgan Ordnance Depot.
Yes, sir. The Morgan General Ordnance Depot is what we call it, and it was a site here in Sayreville, New Jersey, that operated during the World War I time period. And they were filling artillery shells with explosives. In October of 1918, there were a series of explosions that destroyed essentially the whole plant, scattered munition and debris across the area, and they were planning to rebuild the plant. The salvage contractor came in and did a lot of cleanup work, but then the armistice was signed in November 1918, and plans to rebuild the plant were scrapped.
Okay, well, I've always said about Sayreville, we both sent the weapons and the men to war to keep the flag flying here at home. Question two, what is the environmental investigation you are conducting?
We're conducting our investigation under the FUDS program, or the Formerly Used Defense Site program, and our mission is to investigate and remediate any hazards that were caused by past Department of Defense activities. So we want to go out and do some work, like do some geophysical surveys using metal detectors to look for potential buried munitions in the area, and do activities like conduct soil sampling so we can evaluate is there any soil contamination in the area.
Question three, I understand you've contacted some homeowners and businesses wanting to include their properties in the investigation. Can you tell us more about the reason you need to access private property owners, both residential and business?
Well, we don't own the property. In order for us to conduct the work that we want to do, we need to, access private property and some municipal properties, and that requires that we get what we call a right of entry, which is an agreement between us and the property owner, a legal agreement that allows us and our contractors to come out on the site. So we think it's important for us to get these rights of entry. The work that we're doing is important so that we can ensure the site is protective of human health and the environment.
Thank you. Okay. So that's both residences, private residences, and businesses.
Correct.
Question four, do the property owners have any financial responsibilities if their property is being investigated?
No, they do not. There's,
Okay. Do they have to leave their property during the investigation?
Generally speaking, no. For most of the activities that we're doing, if we're just doing geophysical surveys or survey work or marking out areas, they probably won't notice that we're even there in their yard doing the work. But there is a situation when we would ask homeowners to leave if we identify something that may be a potential munition in the on a property. Then we need to ask people to leave their homes so that our explosive safety experts can safely remove that item.
Okay. What are the steps that each homeowner will take in partnership with the USACE, and what can the homeowner expect?
So the first step is acknowledging that the work is being conducted. The government sends out the rights of entry, which are considered ROEs, to the public. The public reviews the ROEs, which typically include a letter and a fact sheet on the property. They're requested to sign that. That provides access to the government to conduct the investigation. And then once the investigation takes place, they'd be notified a couple weeks in advance of the work, based on the agreement we had with the property owner and prior to the survey being conducted. Once the survey is conducted, we'll evaluate the results, and then a report will be generated to determine areas where we'll focus our intrusive work. And that's called a target of interest, and we'll produce maps and figures that show us where we need to investigate items further.
Right. As we discussed, the more information, the better. Does the homeowner have to allow the USACE onto their property to do this investigative work?
No.
Okay. If they refuse to sign a right of entry, what will this mean for the homeowner?
It will mean that the homeowner will need to hold off on issuing an opinion on the work until after the results are reported. But the Corps has an iterative process that will allow the homeowner to reevaluate the original decision to sign or to not sign the ROE once the data is produced.
Are the driveways and sidewalks gonna get dug up?
No, just softscape, like
Soft
landscaped
ground.
areas, bark mulch areas.
Somebody has a pool in the backyard, you're
Right.
not digging it up, okay.
Correct.
Will the homeowner, if you find something, will the homeowners be informed of what it is? The questions call it an anomaly, I call it an artillery shell. You find an artillery shell, I assume you're gonna tell them.
Once the Corps determines what an item is, at that point in time, we can
Yeah,
notify the
Okay.
homeowners on
and,
what.
and you'll inform the borough that there's a,
Correct, yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
okay. And will the homeowners' use of their property be affected in any way during your investigations? We had this conversation, particularly the summer season's coming up with a number of 3-day weekends. If they're having a barbecue on the 4th of July or on Labor Day, do they have any reason not to schedule it this year?
We can work around homeowner schedules for the most part.
Okay.
The mapping effort is fairly short for each specific property. It's a few days,
Okay,
and it depends on the size. But we can coordinate based on our schedule and the homeowner's use of the property. But generally, once the work starts, the mapping, we need unimpeded access to the area. Otherwise, they can't pull the cart to
okay.
detect the anomalies.
That's great. Fellas, I want to thank you. You've been more than candid, more than helpful, more than willing to share this information. Now, you're going to be doing a number, more of these public programs, which we're going to get up on our website as soon as possible. How many more do you have scheduled?
We have 3 more public events scheduled.
So we'll post it up, and work. It's a pleasure working with you. So we appreciate you coming to Sayreville, taking the interest in our town. Real estate's at an all-time high, but we'll try to fit you in when you want to move here, as I say to people.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you,
Thank you,
gentlemen.
sir.
We appreciate the time.
it.
All right. I want to thank everyone for watching, and that's it for this episode of Conversations with Kennedy. Thanks, everyone. Till next time.